Proper device. There we go. Okay, sounds like audio's coming through for Twitch, so I can mute that. Check on... I'm on YouTube. Catch up. Hit go live. Yep, should be good. Yep. Okay. All right. Quick tweet and then we'll get going. How is everybody doing? All of you guys that are in here, I should be able to see both sides of chat. I'm also on Twitch and YouTube, depending on where you're watching it. We're just doing a co-stream as I do a solo show today. So looking forward to chatting with everybody. Got some stuff to talk about. The boys are a little busy for my co-hosts' obligations today. But for now, figured I'd chat with you guys. We got some information, Codename Frontiers. We'll talk about that. We got a little tease about the new dungeon, kind of the function of how that's going. I'm probably not going to go through the full sandbox details, but there's a couple features that are probably worth looking at. And then... What's up, Jason? How you doing? Thanks for coming to hang out. I know you probably would like the... You know the enemy type in this dungeon? No? Could be Vex. We'll take a look at, like... I've got the background up there a little bit, so we will take a look and see, but... Looks very Vexy from the picture, but I think Revenant is based around... I want to say the Fallen, if I remember correctly, so give me a sec, doing a couple things. Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Sorry, trying to find my own tweet. There we go. All right. Sorry, you guys are dealing with not too much in there. I might actually get a little background music. Mostly just because it's me today. Let me see. Media source. See if I can find this. If you guys are good with that, at least. We can work on a little volume. Oh, where is it? I think it's this. It's gonna be loud, sorry. How is that for audio? Versus me when I'm talking, how is that for sound? Is that an okay, nice little background sound, so it's not just like dead air the whole time, or are we okay? Let me know on the audio there, and then we will get things recording and going. What's up, Mudflap? Bullet, how you doing? GDO, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Maybe a tad louder. Do that. Audio levels sound good. Okay, yep, I am running solo today, just doing a quick audio check. This is me talking about whatever I'm reading on screen, checking the audio level for the background music, just so you guys don't have like dead air the whole time. Doing a co-stream on Twitch and YouTube today, just to kind of get the podcast out there in a couple of places, so wherever you watch it, you can hang out. And then, of course, we will get the regular versions of video and audio out to the other platforms later on. Spotify, iTunes, and all that fun stuff will come later. So, audio checking one more time with the music level. Should be pretty good. Just wanted to check. Should grab one of my snacks here. All right. Not specifically a new time, just this HD quality me. Yeah. So this is actually direct capture of my camera. I'm not running it through Discord and back as a capture off my screen. So, a little different setup today. The guys are busy. I know Travis is working on a review. I think Cog is traveling. So, busy doing some things. Mostly for today. Just got done working out, had a snack. Wanted to kind of get this chat kind of just mostly done, so I can work on some stuff this evening. Kind of open up the evening. If we do, well, we should have Travis back next week, but with his job change that he's kind of got recently, might actually get back more into the evening time when we've got shows. Again, like next week, we've got Revenant. So that preview will come on Tuesday, I think it was. And then we'll talk about that like on normal podcast evening. Yeah, it's a very PvP TWAB today. And I'm not specifically going to go too in-depth on the PvP part of the TWAB. You guys know that's a little less of my forte. But we're going to try. Give me a sec and we'll get started. I am muted the entire time. That's totally fine. That is totally fine. Is this thing on loop, by the way? Is the music looping or is it not? Nope, not even looping. Okay. We can just try that whole thing again. Just, you know, axe the front. See, I'm just making sure you guys are here. I'm getting chat moving. I love this is like sound is off muted. Oh my god. What's up, Arctic? How you doing? Take two. And we're rolling, and action. Hello, everybody. It is Ebontis, and welcome to The Last Word, episode number 309. If you're watching the video, you will see that I am here by myself alone. If you're watching the video, this is also direct from my camera, not like passed through Discord, so I may be a little higher def today. Sorry about the beard shaving, lack thereof, whatever you want to call it, but hello. Travis is in the middle of a review, so I'm just kind of taking this one up solo today, and Cognito is very busy man and traveling, so I'm just gonna talk about basically what's been going on in Destiny in the past week, and probably a couple other like things here and there when we get to the end of the stream. Just a couple more general game things that I'm looking at and watching and stuff of that nature, kind of what to expect from me coming up as well. Now, for news for Destiny itself, we got a couple Codename articles, Codename Frontiers articles today. The TWID last week, I will briefly go over that. Some of that sandbox stuff, I'm kind of saving that for Cognito when he's back. But we'll briefly touch on a couple things, and then also today as well, we've got some PvP changes. I'm not going to go into like graphs and everything in here as well. Going to go more high-level thoughts and kind of discussion today. For next week, we should have the guys together for a full podcast, and the biggest reason is we actually get the reveal for the Destiny 2 Episode 2 Revenant, and it's their Act 1 developer livestream. That's going to be October 1st at 10 a.m. I don't know if I'm going to actually co-stream that one, mostly because I'm going to be very busy with something on Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday there's something I'm really going to be working on. So come hang out. I'll probably be streaming something different. If you guys are interested in Starfield, I put like 120 hours into that, and I will be playing the DLC and working on something for that. So come hang out, support me there, always nice. But either way, look for that on the YouTube channel. We'll be getting some Starfield information very quickly. But we will do a podcast on Thursday to try and go over everything that's there. If there's anything like drastically major where I think a video is worthwhile, maybe I'll drop a nugget, but I will probably just be pretty busy, and we'll just get to it on the podcast on Thursday. Kind of lets everything digest and settle and tweets come out and all of that stuff anyway, because more often than not, we'll get some information, and then there's one or two tweets that follow up from the Destiny 2 team that'll clarify a couple of things. So we'll probably hopefully have all that information, probably the TWID, because the podcast next week, as I said, Travis has got a different job now than he did before, and podcast is probably going to be back more in the evening time. So if you're looking for the live shows, they will probably be a little later on that Thursday night, around that 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, maybe an hour before that, but sometime in that evening window for the middle and eastern part of the United States. If it's West Coast, so probably a little earlier in the day, but, you know, afternoon, evening, as opposed to like midday, which we have been doing. Things change, and when I can get them all together, we'll just kind of make the schedule work. So if there is some inconsistency for you guys in watching it, just remember, if you want to find us on Spotify, check us out there, iTunes, and any other podcast platform. If you want to give us a like, a review, a favorite, a heart, whatever it is on the platform of choice, always helps support the podcast. And if you're watching on Twitch and YouTube, follow, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. So you guys know what to do if you're here watching. You already made it this far, and you're putting up with this face for this long. So live stream next week. We'll talk about that next Thursday, hopefully with all of them. First couple of things I want to talk about today. We've got the Codename Frontiers, and just to clarify, because I saw something on Twitter where somebody's like, do you guys think Codename Frontiers will? I'm like, just stop right there. Basically, Codename Frontiers is what they're calling their features that they're working on developing. That's it. These are like the features, the updates, the kind of progression and mindset articles that they're doing. But from the previous whole expansion thing, we have Codename Apollo and Codename Behemoth, and then the seasons. Like, Codename Frontiers is just kind of the feature sets they're working on lumped into one little bag over here, as opposed to expansions and story content and stuff like that. So I just saw that. I wanted to clarify it. Hopefully that's okay. If you guys can hear me in both chats, just give me a quick one from a couple of you. Just make sure everything's looking good. So the first one we got information on is the raids and dungeons. Cool. Got a one. We're working. Now, TLDR, they said every year we'll kick off with a brand new raid as part of the first expansion. Now, I'm looking at the article right now. If we go back and look at our wonderful friend, the map of roadmap, there it is. So you've got Codename Frontiers. That's kind of the overall spectrum of what's in the future. Expansion 1, Codename Apollo, Expansion 2, Codename Behemoth. And then you've got your summer update, fall update, winter update, and spring update. It's kind of how they break all of those down. Talked about all that previously, so we're good. So every year, we get one brand new raid at the start of the first expansion. So Codename Apollo, summer 2025. We will be getting a raid somewhere towards the beginning of that. You know, may not be the first week if they're trying to let things, you know, kind of settle with the story and get the first week going, but probably in the first week or two, depending on how much hype they're trying to bring. I would like them to get back to actually like the 10 days, let people settle into the story, give it a minute, and then build the hype up again. 3 days always just feels like a whole lot crammed really quickly, but we'll see what they do for the schedule. Maybe they just want to like get as much hype as they can on those first few days, and that's what they're doing. That's their marketing choices. That's up to them. That's kind of what we got. But the one brand new raid as part of the expansion. So I know already some people are wondering, will there ever be a hope for, say, what am I thinking? Wrath of the Machine, Leviathan raids, that type of stuff. We'll get to a little bit where those may show up. Thanks for the kindness in chat, guys. Appreciate that. But it does seem like when it comes to reprised raids, we've probably got the ones that we're going to get. Now, the main reason I believe that's just one of those things we all probably just need to accept is that studio is about half the size of that it used to be. If they were maybe 15, 1600 and they lost the 2 chunks of people both in October last year and then recently with the 2 sets of layoffs, they are not as big as they were. They are still working on Marathon. They had a couple other incubation projects and we've talked all about that. But the Destiny 2 team is not as big as it was. Just isn't. No studio is going to maintain that many people everywhere. The other thing to keep in mind is if we don't get one big expansion and then like seasonal teams, because when we talked to Tom Farnsworth, we had him on and he's the lead of one of the seasonal teams. So it's like Alpha, Omega, and they would kind of trade off. So to get about 6 months to work on their piece. My guess now is the way they're working on 2 expansions 6 months at a time is that you're going to take kind of the final shape team. And I say final shape team in the grand scheme of what remains of the final shape team, but the overall expansion team, and you're probably dividing a little bit. And I would imagine the Alpha and Omega seasonal teams are kind of dispersed into both of those to some extent. Do I know exactly how that works? No, but that's a guess because Apollo and Behemoth are going to be worked on at the same time. Like some of Behemoth may help with Apollo to get it out the door, and then you've got some development time. But if they're doing 2 expansions, both are probably being worked on. And then we come to our big content like raids. We get 1 new raid a year with the expansion. So in Apollo, at the start of that, we're going to get 1 new raid. So the idea of a reprised raid, some of that may be sad and gone, but they say the following major update. So the major updates are going to be the seasons. So if summer 2025 is major update Arsenal, that's the start of like the whole Apollo and summer 2025. Fall 2025, they call it Codename Surge. Call those whatever you want. But the fall update, that is when they say they will expand on the raid, adding new challenges, twists, and rewards. They'll go a little farther in detail. Then we get the second expansion of the year. So now we're at Behemoth. We're 6 months out. We're in the winter. So say if it's June, we're talking December, somewhere in that realm. That's when we're going to get our new dungeon with an expanded reward offering closer to, I think, a raid they discussed, but we'll get into the details lower. And then they mentioned the 4th and final update of the year, which would be spring 2026. Can I read a calendar? Let's find out. Yep, spring 2026. We would get to they will launch an event that leverages legacy raid and dungeon content along the lines of the Pantheon. So kind of a love of raids, kind of the Pantheon, going through different encounters, maybe a couple twists here and there, and they go in a little bit more detail. So let's dive into some of the details. New raids are a cornerstone of Destiny. They bring fire teams together to tackle overwhelming odds and curate legendary moments with the world's first raid race. So we're still kicking off every year with a new raid, and that's the raid team is still there. They're an iconic piece of Destiny. The raid team is still going to be working, and there's no question. But to imagine 2 new raids every year with each expansion would probably be asking too much, because right now we've been getting 1 new raid and then a reprised raid sometimes, but it's been 1 new raid a year. That's just what is a reasonable ask for these teams. They're very polished mechanics, a lot of testing, conceptualizing. It just takes a while to build a raid. There's no question in my mind, but they tend to put together damn good ones. So we get one a year. And they said, starting with a new raid in Codename Apollo that will stack up to the rich and varied history of experiences in this space. Raids will continue to offer a complete pool of exclusive weapons, armor, and exotics, and these can be obtained at higher tiers. We've talked about tiers previously. That's kind of an update that we've got with regards to Codename Frontiers, as well as like weapon tiers for difficulty and stuff of that nature. And you'll be able to obtain higher tiers by taking on additional challenge. Facing the tall task of following up Salvation's Edge as an iconic raid, of course, we are exploring some unique twists on the raid format. This is one area we will not be giving very much information about in the future. So unfortunately, it's just going to be wait until they deliver it to us, which is not overall a bad thing, but that does also mean it's just going to be a little while until we get that information pretty much day of. So they don't want to spoil the day one raid race, and I totally understand that, but expect maybe a difference. I would like to see something unique in these raids, and the fact that they can expand on them could be a unique twist. We'll just have to see what that delivers. They say raid feats. Our current iteration of master raids and challenges have followed a similar format for a few years now, and it's time to change the formula. Starting with Codename Apollo, new raids will support a raid-specific form of challenge customization where players can select modifiers called feats. Feats will expose and enforce rules such as time trials, contest combatants, contests, so you're actually kind of bringing that in, and other mode modifiers unique to the raid. The more feats active during rung, the better chance at earning higher tier rewards. So, if you're going for higher tiers of weapons, you'll be able to work on them that way. In the first major update following Codename Apollo, the raid, and so this would be winter 2025. Nope, this would be fall. I'll get it right eventually. Fall of 2025, the raid will receive a challenge update, adding new rewards. So again, I don't know what those are, if it's new weapons or something. New mechanics. Now that is different. So if they're actually going to add mechanics, and that's, you know, other people have mentioned they used to do that. Like you had the normal mode, and then hard mode added new mechanics in, say, King's Fall back in Destiny 1. They went away from that for a while. But honestly, with Pantheon, I think they've learned that they're probably okay messing with us a little bit more now. So hopefully they do. New feats. So if you want even more challenge, and potentially even new encounters. Now that's the interesting one. So you're going to take and build a raid. Give us most of it. And then we're going to get maybe, again, this is a big question mark. Don't assume this is how this is going to work, but potentially new encounters, but I would probably hope for one at the most. This update will kick off with the raid race event and be a venue for experienced raiders to further challenge their skills. So they're going to do a raid race for the major update challenge update. Now, I don't know if they're overdoing the raid races at that point. Kind of feels a little bit like they are, but as they get one a year, maybe they're just trying to get the most out of it. But this update will kick off with another raid race. Yeah, something like King's Fall, Sisters, something like that I can see. Yeah, it's like they may put a different encounter, another boss, a second tier, something, but I am very curious what they do. A second raid race for the update, though, I feel like, I don't know how they're going to do that. Maybe you just need to go full challenge. Maybe it's enough where it justifies it. I am kind of very curious how a second raid race for a raid that's already out is going to work. Because they don't really do like a master race. I mean, people kind of just go for it and then, you know, they finish pretty quickly together. But overall, I don't know if it's going to be like a true official race for just the update. That I am kind of curious how they do that one. In addition to the highest tiers of raid rewards being available from these challenges, new and exclusive rewards will be added as well, including new weapons and a catalyst for the raid's exotic weapon. So, new exotic from the normal raid, have some challenges, higher tiers of weapons that are currently available. Then in the future, we're going to get more weapons and then a catalyst for the weapon. Now, there are two ways to look at this. I'm kind of curious what you guys think in chat. One, some people might think, cool, we're going to get a raid. And then later on, they're going to take that thing and add, it's probably not like a raid lair, but we're going to add like a wing to the raid. And you're going to be able to go tackle some more stuff in there. Maybe some more weapons are available. Some people are going to be a little more on the cynical side and say, why am I getting 3/4 of a raid at the start? Why don't you just give me the whole thing up front? I can probably see both sides of that coin just to, you know, play devil's advocate. the raid team is going to have like a full year to work on this thing. So I'd imagine most of the polish and everything is probably going to be done. I don't imagine they're really going to be working on that piece because in theory, they're going to be working on mostly that next raid for whatever expansion is in 2026, say summer, if they keep with this schedule. So the raid team is, I feel like, going to be more often than not mostly done. The testing, the encounters, the theme, the boss design, a lot of things are probably going to be done. And then it does feel like we're going to get some stuff just later. But, you know, it could maybe feel like a hard mode. Maybe you have to do a specific challenge to activate like some fork in the road to be able to come back. And maybe if you do this, different things happen. I am very curious how they do it. I'm not going to go into this with full skepticism, but I'm also not going to go with like full rays of sunshine and rainbows either. Because it does feel like if the raid team works on a raid for a year, you get the raid at the start of Apollo, and then 3 months later, we get more raid stuff. That's kind of one of those where I feel like the raid team is probably done. Then maybe the weapons team is going to work on polishing up the catalyst for the exotic once they kind of get a feel for how it's been working for 3 months. Adding a couple of weapons. That's another thing. Is the weapon pool going to feel like neutered to start? Like you're going to have 5 weapons, and then when you get like, or 6 or 7 or something, but then when you get the new challenges and whatever this other stuff is going to be, then you get the other 3 or 4 or 5 weapons. I feel like that's almost how the Leviathan raid went. You had a decent amount of loot from the main raid, and then the raid layers had like 2 weapons. I don't want it to go that way. I don't know how much they're going to be adding, how much they're going to be changing. I think all of this is just like, they have ideas that they want to add more to it. But for me, it's how they add it and how it feels when they add it. Is it just like something like, did we just put another boss in the same room? And then now there's another drop that has different weapon rolls for it. And then now when you play through the raid in 3 months, the same encounters can drop more and different weapons maybe that you didn't already have. It's really hard to know how this is going to play out. So let's see what chat's saying. Depending on the change, will it be like activating a new room like the Choir of One mission? Or are we actually going to go Root of Nightmares difficulty to Vow difficulty? See, that's kind of a question. So they're going to have difficulty and challenges, rewards, mechanics, feats. The feats are probably going to where some of the challenges are going to come from depending on what you turn on and what they don't. Prestige raids were where it was at. That's been a little while since those have been around too. I'm just kind of like, there's a lot up in the air, but as they are kind of bouncing there are good ideas here. Don't get me wrong. The fact that you can build a raid and then in 3 months they can add to it. What is the development time of the additional stuff? Like how are the weapons teams? Are they just getting more time to work on the second half of the arsenal? Again, this is all, you can look at it from skepticism or optimism, and then how you come to your conclusion is really up to you. But for me, I would say I'm somewhere in the middle, because if the raid team builds a raid, and then if there's going to be another raid for the expansion after Behemoth, they're going to be working on that probably again. And then like taking 3 months to build stuff just to then take less time to build the next raid seems odd. So it's like the timing of development is one that kind of begs the question, is this more so the teams that they have can, you know, maybe the weapons team can work on 6 weapons for a raid that are going to be raid worthy. And then in the next 3 months, there's a piece of the weapons team that's working on the rest of the arsenal that's going to come with the update. And then you get 4 more. Like, is it that type of thing? The fact that you get the catalyst for the raid weapon, that's probably multiple things. How is the raid weapon feeling? What do we need to add to it? How much testing do we need to do? You can do a decent amount in 3 months to get 1 catalyst in. So it's probably a bit of get the weapon in the hands, build the catalyst, see if it's going to help solve any problems it doesn't have. Make it kind of something you want. We'll see. So that's a lot for the raid challenge update. Then we get dungeons. Dungeons are an important part of in-game ecosystem, and they provide an accessible raid-like experience that feature unique encounters and mechanics that demand less social coordinating and scheduling. So Codename Behemoth, the second expansion, will include a brand new dungeon. Also, because the dungeon will be launching as part of our Codename Behemoth expansion, there will no longer be a separate dungeon key. That's a good thing. No more dungeon keys. Like, it's just part of an expansion. You're good. Additionally, the rewards offering from the new dungeons will be expanded to include a full weapon and armor set, on par with the raid. So the weapons team is going to be like working overtime. Armor sets generally more cosmetic until they finally make me care about armors. Maybe the tiers do of armor, but for now, armor for me is mostly just looks. And I know, again, that's artist and artwork and all of that stuff, but again, the weapons are more of what you play with. The armor is just slots for your mods. But getting a full weapon set for a dungeon, not our typical norm. So the fact that it's going to be on par with raids, we'll be happy to see a bigger kind of reward pool available from there, more offerings, more things to go for. Again, are the weapons going to be worth your time? Is it going to be worth the grind? Is this just more horizontal movement in the weapon pool? Are we going to, like, all of that only time will tell if the tiers do anything to get people excited. That's just time. Nobody knows that. But full arsenal for a dungeon, that's a good thing. New raid, they call it a rad event. I don't know if they're truly being rad, like totally tubular, rad, spectacular, like if they're just going to that level. Because basically it also reads like new raid event is what it sounds like, but we will see. Destiny 2 Into the Light introduced a raid boss rush called Pantheon to put Fireteam's capabilities to the test. This event showed us that our community is hungry for new experiences that break out of the mold of our traditional raids and dungeons. So, in the fourth major update of the year, we're planning for another event that introduces novelty and allows our team to experiment with legacy raid and dungeon offerings, it's the legacy stuff, and create surprising aspirational challenges. We're very early stages on this event, so more as they come. Again, this would be spring of 2026. We are in the fall of 2024. So this is 18 months away. It's gonna be a hot minute. So it's an idea, a concept to bring back Pantheon, some style like that. Everybody seemed to take to it pretty well. We will see. They say dungeon content will also figure prominently in the new portal as Pinnacle Ops. Raids for the portal, not going to be at first until they kind of figure out how they want it in there. Raid and dungeon equals rad. Oh, that actually would make some sense. That's the best explanation I've seen for it yet. So we'll go with that. So that's the new raids and dungeons. One raid each year, one dungeon each year. The seasonal update after the raid launch will have some updates to it. And then some legacy Pantheon, you know, fun activity. And honestly, I think Datto said it in his video because I was curious. I just walk my dog, so I listen to a lot of YouTube. But it's like, you know, if you get something like Pantheon instead of Solstice, I think everybody's probably going to be happier about that. So I think most people will take that, depending on what it is. We'll see. The other Codename Frontiers article that we got was combat modifiers and more. Now, I've looked at this one less, but I've seen a few of the clips going around. So TLDR, we're investigating more than ever before in our activity modifier system. Activities will be updated with a library of modifiers that can change how you approach combat on every playthrough. Combatants will gain varied powers and buffs in order to create new gameplay threats and encourage changes in player strategy, especially for higher level challenges. The problem. Now, I think this whole paragraph is an interesting one. Today in Destiny, playing the same PvE activity repeatedly can feel like a chore, particularly when chasing a reward or following a narrative. Running through the latest exotic mission a second, third, fourth, seventh, 10th time just doesn't feel fun enough to justify the time spent. Yeah, I would say the new exotic mission did run its course completely and then some. Eventually, you know when each enemy spawns, where to fight them, how to win without any challenge. This is a component to Destiny 2 we want to greatly improve, and with Codename Frontiers, keeping activities fresh and challenging each time you run them. There are two sides to that equation. One, in a game like Destiny, is the challenge. Is the activity fun, well-made, well-constructed? Cool. The other side is the loot that you get. Is the 14th Void Auto Rifle going to be any different than the other 13 that I've got? That's the question I think right now Destiny has the biggest problem with. For me, let me know what you guys think in chat. For me, 7 years into the game, 500 to 600 items in the vault, probably closer to 600, whatever the cap is, probably do that minus 5 or 10. How much stuff is in my vault? It's mostly weapons and then exotics that are just like, I have one roll of each. And then it's mostly weapons. So if I get to a point I have a good Void Auto Rifle, I'm good. If I have a good Void Bow, I'm good. How many more of those types of things? How many? It's either going to lead to either power creep, which is going to be one thing, more challenge, which is going to either be spongier, weirder creativity, gonna be an interesting one. But for me, the question is like weapon tiers and armor tiers. Are they going to feel like they matter? I know when it came to the weapon tiers, they had a picture that showed like impact actually going up. If it goes up by like 3 on an auto rifle, I'm never gonna feel it. But if like tier 1 versus tier 5 is like a 20% damage boost, that might start. Oh, 600, 671. Whatever the max of the vault is, by the way, for chat. As I said, just minus 10 and I'm probably at the max. So yeah, for me, it's like part of the problem is, yeah, things can get repetitive. But if the juice is worth the squeeze, then does it feel as bad? Not really. If I go through an exotic mission, I just get random world drops, couple of seasonal weapons that I can craft and all of those things. And that kind of brings up some of the other questions I think some people have had. And I said this in my Discord the other day. If you guys aren't in my Discord, feel free to ping me somewhere. I can always get you guys in my Discord. The more people in there, the merrier. I have one rule: be reasonable. That's literally it. If you're in my Discord, be a reasonable human being. If you're not, you're gone. And I don't have time for BS. So, where was my thoughts on this? Okay. Some people have an issue with crafting. Yeah, class items are another thing now. Ergo sums is another. Yeah, our vault space is just a whole mess. So for me, weapon crafting is one of those things that I don't mind. But the reason I think people have an issue with weapon crafting is more the source of the problem underneath that. Because, one, we have multiple issues that make weapon crafting kind of a issue, but it's not just a problem. One, we don't have sunsetting anymore. Everybody lost their mind when sunsetting was going to be mentioned. I went like toe-to-toe with Cog in the podcast, and you guys know this. Me and Cognito disagreed. He finally came around, and I think probably most people have. Without sunsetting, you get a saturated weapon pool, and then nothing can be fun because all of it's still there, but for that old stuff to be relevant, the new stuff can't be that good, but if you do the new stuff too good, then there's power creep, and then the old. Sunsetting was never a thing that was going to stick around because the community lost their mind, which is sad. If it would have stayed in the game, that would have helped. The idea that, hey, I can make some cool stuff, and then it's only going to be here for a certain amount of time, and then we're going to make different cool stuff. Can't do that. So that's one. For me, there isn't anything tangible that makes most difficult weapons to earn worth the grind. So a Grandmaster Nightfall can give you an adept weapon, but all that is usually a couple stat bumps, and unless you're a 1% player playing in PvP at a high level, you're likely not to feel it. Most PvE weapons and most PvE content, you're going to be able to get through it, just blow up the vault and give a restart. And that's why so many people are talking about a Destiny 3. But for me, it's like I can go through most, if I have the 2 perks on a weapon that I want, I don't really care about the rest of it. If those 2 kind of function the way that I'm going for, and then like the rest of it's going to get the job done for the weapon, the PvE activities are going to mostly get done. So those little tiny adept little movements are not going to make much of a difference for about 95% of the player base. Another person said with sunsetting was the fact that they released the same exact weapon roll. That is another issue. Sunsetting was implemented very poorly. That is also a reason they rolled it back. They realized the task that they had ahead with the team that they had put on it was not enough. You can't take away 500 weapons and then give us 50 and leave like gaping holes in our arsenal and then slowly roll them out over like 2 years. It's not how that works. So the weapon team was not big enough. Their weapons are unique. They had a lot of them created. We have been getting reissues. We just got, Warden's Law from how many years ago? We just got that one back. So to me, like the reissues have just been a sign of it is hard to make a Destiny weapon unique. And they have made like 500 of those things. I don't blame them, but that is the issue with Destiny 3. That's also why for them, they don't want to throw away all that work, but it's a point where you kind of need to draw a line in the sand somewhere. Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. I have one person say blow up the vault, the other one who doesn't want to grind again. The difference is, you're at full vault. Yeah, me too. For me, hold on, let me get to my third point. So, and this is where weapon tiers, I've got to see them in my hand. Until I do, I honestly don't know what to think of them, because the way they looked, the way weapon tiers looked in my head is that you could enhance like 1, 2, you could enhance now an origin trait, you could enhance your barrel, you could enhance your magazine. But if I'm just getting like +5 on each of those stats, and then the 3rd and 4th perks are like enhanced with the, current enhancement system that we've got, to me, that's not going to make that much of a difference. So what I'm talking about when I say... So I think the people who want... Me too, by the way. If you want those truly elite, hard-to-get drops, picture Diablo 4. The endgame, the uniques, the grandfathers. Those are rare and sought after. Why do people run through so many dungeons hoping to get something unique? Why? Because it's better than anything else. Right now, Destiny has a problem with that because loot can't really get that much stronger. And that is a problem. One reason it can't get that much stronger is PvP. If they're able to divide the sandbox and put some modifiers on combatants or whatever it's going to be, you can only get so powerful when PvP is attached. I know that's part of this game, and I don't mind PvP being in there, but one of the reasons we cannot get, like, escalatingly stronger stuff for PvE is PvP. 100%. I think they agree, because you have to be able to take a weapon from the raid and then go take it into PvP and not break PvP. So therefore, anything you get in PvE is never going to feel that strong. So if I have an auto rifle that does what I want to do, I don't have a reason to go get something else just because it has different perks. But if there is a way for me to go get a... Yeah, I say break PvP. I'm with you, believe me. I don't play PvP enough, but I'm trying to be reasonable to the PvP crew because there is a, you know, a unique system of movement and abilities and weapons that works, and Destiny's still one of the best shooters out there without a question. I think everybody agrees on that. So PvP in that, while generally broken to some extent, in my opinion, it does hold things back. And you have no ability to go after, like, if you're going to tell me I'm going to go into a master dungeon or master raid, and I'm going to be able to get, like, a badass version of a weapon for whatever reason, that thing drops now, and those are dropping at a higher tier. Like, we're talking, like, tier 1 to tier 5 to tier 10. Like, I need a disparity between my PvP stuff. Yeah, just, you can disable, you can... take away most of the power. If you go into PvP, just let it not be that strong. Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to, like, eventually want to get to where I can break the game. Like, that's what most people want. And it's this, like, perpetual treadmill to just keep staying on the treadmill is one of those things not everybody tends to want. And it's, again, also... the PvP and PvE issue broke other games too. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to balance both of those, and it's really difficult to do for a reason. You'll play Iron Banner for nothing else except for the Bright Dust Triumphs, maybe. More power to you. I will not do that. So that's my main issue with, like, you could say weapon crafting is an issue. You could say repeating the same activity is an issue. But if I don't have incentive to try and play something at a higher difficulty, like right now I was talking to Travis, like trying to figure out a time to do the exotic mission on expert difficulty just to get the catalyst part done, but I'm like, I don't really care enough to do that much because maybe it's like, it's kind of cool, but it's probably something I need to do, but I'm really not hurting that much on it. If that void auto rifle doesn't fit my build specifically for what I'm working on, I really don't care. So it's like, yes, I'm going to get a catalyst, which is going to allow me access to either subsistence or a couple of other perks, but they're still similar perks to what we've already had. Doesn't feel like it's changing the game enough. So anyway, tangent aside, sorry about that one. That's just me on weapons. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the feedback, let me know anywhere you can. Ping me on Twitter and be like, yo, you're a crazy person in your podcast. Here's why. Happy to listen. I will read basically every comment. So they say the solution: improve the experience of replaying activity content by adding variety and unpredictability to each preview. While partially true, it's also one of those things that, yes, replayability, you want it to be varied, but again, I don't want to replay the same stuff for the same loot. It's part of my issue. So we'll see how all of this plays out, and this is some of the stuff that they're working on. I've got 2 different chats going on. I'm trying to keep things back and forth. Engines are welcome. Let me see if I can catch up on Scream, because he's cooking over here. So let's get amazing PvE stuff, and let's get old school Vex. At least have one PvP playlist where power is enabled and everything is fully broke or unbalanced. Sure, try it, see what happens. Yeah. Wish the grapple is more like the first Ascendant, almost limitless use. Exactly. Yeah, the fact that grapple is that is probably a perfect example. grapple being limited in PvP. Yeah, I can do a melee. I can kill a few smaller enemies. You're not going to grapple to most of anything more than like low-level mobs and punch them. Anything bigger than that's going to punch back, and it's probably going to hurt. So for me, yeah, just we need to divide the sandboxes, and I know it's a hard thing to do, but if you're trying to do these codename features, big updates, that is where you're going to win some people over, because Destiny 3 does not feel like it's in the cards. Hold on, I got to get a sip of water. One sec. Sorry about that. Figured you guys didn't want to hear me blow my nose. But, so yeah, in chat, if you don't give the juice, replayability just isn't going to be there. Make the reward compensatory to the difficulty. Exactly. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to crank up when you saw the difficulties when we looked at Codename Frontiers for the challenges, because it was just like, okay, am I going to get more rolls on certain weapons, more currencies, whatever? It's like, I don't know. And that's the problem with Destiny 2. Again, that brings us to the deeper root cause. We all have these things that we've done for so much, it doesn't feel that fresh. One more auto rifle, one more rocket sidearm, one more bow, one more like glaive. Those were cute, but you want to know the problem with melee most of the time? Swords and glaives both. Glaives technically can shoot. I've seen them used by a few moments, but generally, more often than not, they're only useful in fun level content. If you go to anything challenging, you do not want to be close to the enemy. It is going to kill you. Stomps, just melees, blasts, too much like out of cover. It is too much of a risk with a sword, generally, and I haven't used them that much in a little while, so maybe they're amazing now, but I kind of doubt it. I would have probably heard about it. But yeah, swords and glaives, that's the risk of challenging. You want to be using your weapon from far away to get the group of enemies to explode that is far away. You do not want that stuff to be near you, because if it's near you, you're probably going to die. All right, so a first-class modifier system. So what they say they're going to work on. Destiny has had modifiers to activity since the launch of the first Nightfall, but yeah, this is another thing I will tell you. Like, the modifiers have been the same for so long. This is welcome, but long overdue. So, creating combatant-focused modifiers that change the way players approach combat on every playthrough. Banes, enemy modifiers, and combat modifiers. Designing modifiers so they can combine to create a wide variety of experiences. Reduce barriers to entry and time to fun by reducing the number of build crafting necessary modifiers or replacing them with new combatant modifiers. Your champion system is part of the reason build crafting to specific things is necessary. Champions are still an old thing in the game, and I know they're going to keep being a thing in the game, but one of the reasons you have to build a certain way. Banes. These are a new thing. Combat affix modifiers. An enemy unit with a Bane will present a difficult challenge to players, according to which Bane is affecting them. So, Meteors and Shock. The Meteor's Bane gives combatants the ability to launch solar projectiles that track but can be shot down. So I'm guessing it's like the bigger, and this is again. So if I play this, hopefully you guys don't get it as well. So, meteors is exactly what you think. Shooting orbs up over their head, and then they're coming at you and tracking, but they're slow. Is this something we haven't seen before? Nope, we've seen it from certain enemies. It's just a modifier that can be on random enemies now, so it's something you'd have to watch out for. Killing a unit with this Bane causes it to spread to others nearby. Oh no, sorry. Shock will continuously build up a charge that will discharge on a single target within line of sight. And killing a unit with this Bane causes it to spread to others nearby. So you're going to spread shock to others, and now if you kill one with it, then more are going to have it. I'm not sure I love this. Now, if you kill them with shock and they actually like electrocute the people around them, maybe, but I don't want to kill a shock enemy and then have 6 shock enemies on me. That seems terrible. Berserk. Killing combatants with the Berserk causes combatants nearby to enrage. Now, this one does make sense. This one spreads. You can see him shoot the captain with the purple thing hovering over his head. And then a lot of enemies now have the purple on them, so they're going to be basically enraged, more aggressive, kind of coming at you nonstop. Finally, we've got punchable. Combatants are immune to all range damage and damage from status effects until they're hit with a melee attack. Now, if you have a ranged melee attack, does that work? Also, in a Grandmaster Nightfall, having to melee a specific enemy could get you killed. Yeah, it's the Proving Ground boss attack. That's Meteor, in case you're wondering. Proving Grounds, shooting all that stuff up in the air, and then it tracks to you. Do you have any idea how annoying that is at times in the Proving Grounds if that stuff starts really tracking you? Yeah, I don't know. So, again, they're using a mechanic they've already built, and then they're just giving it to other enemies. So Berserk is a little different, probably just basically turns the aggression up. Punchable, I don't know if I love this one. Most things that are melee related in this game, I have questions about generally, but go run up to a captain in a Grandmaster Nightfall and punch them. Now, if it has to be a punch and you can't do a ranged melee, that's going to be a little rough. Now, in the video, they go through, it's without sound, but they go through and he does a shoulder charge, I'm pretty sure. Throws a grenade, still not taking any damage. So he's got to run up, get a shoulder charge ability, but he's at point blank range. So if it's range damage that is not going to work, I still have questions. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. The whole punchable melee one, I got a feeling no one's punching unstoppable ogre or champion. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, punchable, no, I don't love that one. Nuclear. Once a unit with Nuclear Bane reaches low health, it begins an arming sequence. If you don't kill them, it does a full solar area of effect blast. And all of these can be found on like either bosses or something else in the game. They're just giving normal enemies these effects. Yeah, I can't tell you specifically which boss does that, but I know a boss does that specifically. So most of these, punchable, I think punchable is truly just the, it's like the scions that float in anything Cabal. It's the ones you have to kind of jump in their shield and punch. I'm guessing it's probably something similar. So you're probably almost going to have to be at point blank range to be able to take these guys out. Punchable, I don't love. Meteor, I can picture the boss doing it. Now you're just going to get it from an enemy. Berserk, just making everything angry. Probably just cranks their stats up to 100. And yeah, a giant explosion that could wipe your entire team, right? That sounds fun. Sorry about my nose, everybody. I'll just try and cut these sections out of the actual edited video. Gives you guys time to type and adjust. Yeah, I don't know if I love these modifiers. So you got tracking solar bombs. You got basically enemies with stats at 100. You got enemies you have to melee punch, and on high difficulty, it's a good way to die. If the charged melee work, it'll be fine. The Hunter Strand, Threaded Spike, Shrieking Hunter. See, that's the question. Does a ranged melee work? Then you would have to build into a ranged melee. That's one thing. But if ranged melees don't tick the box, we're in trouble. Because if it works like a scion that like floats that you got to go basically punch, we all do it. You got to be in their little bubble. You got to be right next to them and give them a hug. If it's got to be that close and ranged melees don't work, then it's a whole different problem. So these are of your choice to switch up your gameplay. This is true. Like, these are all of your choice. You don't have to turn any of them on. You can turn them on if you want to. Question is, what are you going to get from turning them on? That's probably the bigger question. But, you know, if the only way to get like a tier 5 weapon is turn on all the annoying Banes, we'll have to see. Gotta see what the juice is worth the squeeze. Enemy modifiers. While Banes will appear intermittently on individual units, enemy modifiers are used to change base aspects of all enemy activity. Adjust your strategies to account for an enemy modifier you may end up flat-footed when something unexpected happens. For example, under a certain enemy modifier, shipping in Revenant, some enemies may have copied some tricks about booby-trapping their drops from a famous Scorn Baron. So I know they are creating some new stuff for this, but they are really just going back into their arsenal of what is anything that we have created previously. What is any boss, any modifier, anything that we have ever done previously. We're just bringing them all to the table, and they may be a thing. So if they're just going to booby trap their engrams, now stuff that drops is going to be possibly going to kill you. That's going to be fun. It's like martyrdom, but for enemies. Combat modifiers. Modifiers aren't just about changing enemies, but they can affect players too. Surge mods are a classic modifier that have been used for years in Destiny ritual activities, but we've come to realize that too many forceful build crafting modifiers can become barriers for players. So they've been working to create new modifiers that are more accepting of varied strategies and builds. More on that to come. So they'll give you specific examples of what's going to work against you, but the stuff that's going to work for you, that's a work in progress right now. Big chest from D&D, from Dark Souls, yeah, those are always fun. What about champions? Will they be using Banes? Champions still exist in our new future for modifiers, but they won't be hosting any Banes, probably okay. In Revenant, only one Bane can be present at a time. Maybe that'll change in the future, but right now in Revenant, only one Bane will be around. Are you replacing all the old modifiers with the new ones? No, we're trying to strike a balance of keeping the best of the old, but work with the new ones. Hey, can I give you a piece of advice? Get rid of Blackout. No radar and lethal melees. It's a horrible combination. Just get rid of it. Nobody likes it. Please. So that's your combat modifiers. That's kind of where we're at with those. A lot of this is I'm just going to have to test and see. Is this just an absolute annoyance, pain in the butt? Is nuclear just completely frustrating for your team because on Grandmaster, if it's on a major, you can't kill them fast enough when they get to low health, then it nukes the entire team. Yes, if you coordinate, you could probably get it done. But again, how's it going to work? Esoteric will probably solo tier 5 every challenge on. That's what he's going to do. More power to him. But yeah, this is gonna have to take a little testing. I'm over here like playing Black Myth Wukong, bashing my head against it because I enjoy the challenge there. Maybe just my apathetic nature to Destiny currently at the moment, where I've just played a lot of it and like, hey, let me bash my head against something that sounds less fun. Maybe it's just too much time in Destiny, so that one we will see. But Revenant isn't too far away. It's on October 8th, so we will see what happens there. Also, so Starfield Shattered Space on Monday the 30th. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred on the 8th. And then also Destiny Echoes. Or Destiny Echoes will end, and then Revenant will also be on October 8th. So next week and a half is gonna be busy. Alright, so last week's TWID, I don't want to steal Cog's thunder. So last week's TWID on the 19th, they talked about Nightfall focusing. So the weekly featured Nightfall weapon, 1 Vanguard Engram. So they're going to change the cost of some of the Nightfall focusing. Lost Sector rewards are going to have the world loot pool new weapons actually in them in the season they launch. So if you want to farm for the new weapon that launches into the world loot pool, you're actually going to be able to do that in the season it launches, and you'll be able to farm those lost sectors then. So that'll be good. Power band increases. This was fun last week. We didn't really talk about this, did we? Can I just say, because I was going to put up I was going to do a video talking about this because I was going to have fun with a thumbnail, because I think Cross did a tweet or a video saying we need to talk, and then Tassie did a video saying no, we don't need to talk, and then I was just going to do a tweet. Do we? Really? Maybe we do? I don't know. This is all about the power cap. I have played a decent amount. I'm going to be season rank 200 when I am done with this season, because I'll probably play a little bit more, and I'm 199 right now. So I'll hit 200. I am not at the Pinnacle cap right now. I am probably 2000. What am I? I don't even know what I'm at right now. 1996, something like that, if I'm probably maxing everything out. I don't even know if dim still works. Hey, it does. Max power for me feels like I'm at like 1996. So I'm 4 away from Pinnacle power. That's where I'm at. You did a video, people were not happy. Of course they weren't. So now everything's going up by 10 at the top. Powerful goes up to 2000. Pinnacle goes up to 2010. Biggest thing about the fire team power for me is some people are going to have the time to do it, some people are not. I totally get there's two different sides to wanting, hey, number go up, this is kind of cool. But for me, it's just kind of where we're at in Destiny right now, is when you have so many activities that have the power level defined, like, oh, you are 5 power levels below, you are 15 power levels below, and the activities already are just destined to tell you what you're going to play as anyway. There's only certain things in the game that take a power cap in the first place. Then we're getting into episodic content. It's not like an expansion where I'm going to go through a story and level up and do it that way, where it feels like the progression feels a little bit more natural. But the cap is just a number. All it is doing that pinnacle activity. Hopefully you get the drop in the right spot, and that is it. And it's just infusion fodder. It is not making you stronger. It is just infusion fodder to the gear that you've already got. I'm not replacing the armor that I have with a better piece of armor. I'm getting a piece of armor with a higher number and shoving that number into the piece of armor. I'm getting a BS weapon drop that I don't care about, and I'm shoving that weapon into the one that I've already got that I use all the time. And that's kind of the whole point. It's not delivering me anything that I feel better about. All it's doing is making me grind more, in my opinion. It's like, it would be different if the new stuff was better. All of a sudden, it's that kind of thing in World of Warcraft. It's like, I use that as a reference a lot, but it does some things right. Yeah. First off, most things have defined power. So like half the game power doesn't matter. So you're like, what the hell's the point now? But sometimes the power does, but sometimes the power doesn't. That's not confusing. Yeah, you go do contest mode, the dungeon, 1985. That's like the powerful cap. Like, that's easy to get. Yeah, WoW, it's like, okay, so you get to a new expansion. I'm going from 70 to 80. When I get new armor that's like 73, it puts my best 70 level stuff to shame. You got to 2000 a week or two ago. But, I mean, we're towards the end of the season, awesome one. So, depending on how much you've played, depending on how much you've focused on pinnacles. That's the thing. I have not focused on pinnacles, but I've run the dungeon 10 different times to complete a guide and work on the exotic catalyst. Is that helping me in any way level up my power? No. That's probably my biggest issue. Because if you don't do high level stuff, your number doesn't go up. And the only times that high level, that number really helps you is just doing a few activities, not all of them. So yeah, for me, it's like just the power doesn't really matter. This one rubbed me the wrong way. All it is saying that, hey, we got to make your numbers go up again. We're going to have a few more people that are dedicated raiders, and all of those people in elites, they're going to jump in and try and do that stuff just so they're sitting at the cap, whether it's for trials. So you're doing, I mean, think about the people who might have just got up to 2000 for trials, and then they've got their gear and their activity pass or whatever, but then you jump into trials next week, and then you got to start all over, except for the few crazy people. I don't even know what other, there's probably 5 people playing trials right now anyway, since like a lot of people don't do that anymore, but that's still the prime example. If you have a lot of time, you get an advantage in certain places. If you don't have a lot of time, you don't. So for me, it's just like, I am not a fan of this. I'm not excited about this, and I didn't push for it. But that's kind of the thing. I want more weapons like Conditional Finale, where they're 2 energy types in one. Give me a hand cannon with Headstone and Incandescent and Sidearm, Volt Shot and Slice. Yeah, just like, I'm with you, Solverine. Have some fun with it. Mix things up. Try some different stuff. If when you leveled all items level with you, I am so tired of upgrade modules. Like, that whole system sucks. And I'm hoping they change it with Frontiers, but right now it's not happening. But I'm so tired of upgrade modules. It is just like, oh, got a new number. Spend whatever currency and time that you need. Like, I have plenty. I never run out that I can always go buy more. But that's another reason why you're not going to get new players into your game. Yeah, and all of your upgrade currencies and all of those other things. If somebody spends the time to level up a piece of exotic gear, they're going to want to use that for a while. And then we have all these modifiers and different things that you need to do. You can't just go you can't put a build together and then go into any dungeon that you want to go take that on, because your build isn't about you. You have to build to the encounter. So that means you have to still change your stuff. Sorry, another tangent it seems, but yeah, the whole power level upgrade modules, taking one number, making the current weapon, that's the thing. Most of the weapons that we have, we want to probably keep those. Like my sniper rifle that I've got, if I can remember the name of it, Supremacy. My Supremacy is not going to get replaced for a while. Just not. Really, really not. And so all I'm going to be doing in that kinetic slot is bumping that Supremacy up higher and higher as I go, because that is a reliable weapon for me. It's kinetic, and it works well and hits hard. Cool. But do I care about most of the other drops in that weapon to get from 2000 to 2010? Don't give two... Well, I'll try not to cuss, but you know probably where I'm going with that. Oh, I don't give 2 cents. Insert expletive there. I just don't. Like, it is... I've been doing it for too long, and there's way too many other games that I would much rather have fun with than trying to make number go up for pointless reasons. I am sorry, but I am tired of it. If it added something to the game, maybe, but right now, it does not. Now, it looks like they did it. They're working on some updates for Titans. They're trying to make them a bit more tanky. They're going to try and actually have the barricade taunt enemies, which was kind of a cool idea. The towering barricade is going to be doing a bit more. Damage by Unbreakable now generates grenade damage. So they've got some updates. I'm not going to go through all these because they're like a week and a half old. But they were actually trying to make Titan a bit more tanky. Kind of a cool concept. I'll see it. I'll have to see it in action, but it's kind of a thing. Yeah, sorry to go back a little bit as well. When it comes to the power level, if I hit like 1997, like everything should start dropping. Like weapon level should just match character level, right? I'm so tired of just like leveling up the random thing. Different slots have it, different slots don't. And then upgrade modules, because you're like, oh, what about all the exotic class items? You got to level up every single exotic class item, so maybe you get a new good one. Well, you got to go find a piece of infusion fodder to use it with your new build. It is just a frustrating system that I'm so tired of. So, sorry to vent my frustrations to you guys, but I'm hoping I'm not alone in that one. Let me know in the comments. Let me know somewhere. Like, upgrade modules, infusion, and then just the increasing power level at this point. It just has no benefit. It's just a pointless number right now that doesn't do anything because they pick your difficulty half the time. So that's just my 2 cents on that one. So to get to this week, now here in this week, been going for an hour. So I've been talking for an hour straight. It's probably why I need to get a few sips of water. We have the Vespers host dungeon race. Now, first time they've done a dungeon race. First time they've done it on contest. We will see. Did get a little good news in here, so I'm kind of okay with how they're doing this, actually. I was curious. I had this idea on a previous stream. I'm actually okay with how they're doing this. So. Excuse me. Vespers host, the new dungeon coming with Revenant, will be released Friday, October 11th. Cool. So that's the thing. Not only will it be the first dungeon to have contest mode enabled, but we're also excited to announce that Vespers host dungeon race. And they've said, as we've done with raids in the past, we're inviting the top fire teams to complete for glory and prizes in a race to the finish line. It will be a bit different compared to the raid. This time, the first 3 fire teams to finish the dungeon will be crowned winners and rewarded. I'm okay with that because dungeons are probably going to be pretty tight. It's a little shorter race. Spread the level a little bit. It's not quite the big raid belt. I'm cool with that. Details. Contest mode will be enabled for 48 hours. Normal, this is exactly what I had hoped for, I'll be honest. Normal mode will be available as soon as the first 3 teams clear. I'm good. I'm not going to jump in at launch probably for contest. I'm going to probably watch and understand what the mechanics are a little bit to get a feel for it. And I will jump into normal and I will work on my solo dungeon guide over that weekend once I can go into normal difficulty. Fine. Now, the only reason you might want to go for contest over those 48 hours is to be able... Because honestly, I would imagine the contest dungeon is going to be beat in a few hours. I really don't think a dungeon with people like Salta Greppo and Dados and Cross and all of the beasts out there, it's going to be done quick. Just is. It's a dungeon. Oh, Scream, don't even get me started on set bonuses. Are you seriously? Yeah, trying to catch up with chat a little bit. You got Solverine talking about class items, then you need craftable class items, then you have vault space issues because then you're crafting those. Scream said set bonuses for World of Warcraft. Set bonuses, I wish they would do set bonuses. Would be so cool. You're going in solo contests. More power to you. I guess I could try it until it's done and just kind of get a feel for the opening, but yeah. RIP Gambit Prime, right? I have 40 done on WR with no... See, that is why I stopped grinding. Right there. The guaranteed icebreaker on contest mode, though, that's the only reason. That is the only thing you will guarantee yourself the exotic. That's it. That is the reason to do contest. So if I can do contest on Friday or Saturday, or normal on Friday or Saturday once it's beat, and then maybe once I know it, get a group together and then go for the 48-hour finish. We'll see, but yeah, it's more one of those that I want to build a guide for content. The exotic, it's cool, but I don't do weapon reviews, so it benefits me a little less. But yes, guaranteed reward for completing the contest. I'm okay with that. Should be that same way for raids. If you beat it on contest mode in a raid, give them the exotic. They earned it. But I am very happy to say normal mode available after the dungeon is done. I am happy with that because that allows both people, contest to go after the exotic, normal people to jump in after the race. So the mechanic can be like challenging to figure out during contest, but then once it's beaten, then you don't have to worry about, you know, contest anymore because, you know, people are just going to run and figure out the mechanics, and that's fine. Normal mode before contest is done, or before like the race is done, that's fine. So I am so happy they're doing normal as soon as it's done. Perfect. Like, that is the best of both worlds in my opinion. They could do it for raids as well. Wouldn't bother me one bit. There's going to be a dungeon or raid race on Twitch Rivals. Some cool emblems. Honestly, the Revenant Echo emblem is pretty legit. I like that one. There's PvP updates coming. So, general summary. I'm not going to go full details on this, but I'll kind of touch on some things. What's coming in Revenant is the reprised Destiny 2 map Solitude. So you're going to get that one back. It was kind of based on, I want to say, Mars. Yeah. Hela's, yeah, Warmind facility on Mars. Yep. Kind of weird to go to Mars, but it's there. Updated UI, Mercy rule changes, competitive sandbox trials, some updates. Preview of what's coming beyond Revenant. Heresy Trials rework. So that's episode 3. Crucible specific ability tuning uptime. Start splitting those sandboxes. Keep it going. God, I hope so. Playlist reorg. Iron Banner improvements. Skill and rank changes. So reprised map. Yep, that's the one with the big tube in the middle of that kind of like polygonal room. It's on Mars. You got the diamond doors. We'll see. Kind of curious how it comes out. UI update. So they're putting like your class next to in your emblem, so you can kind of tell. Also, if somebody gets killed by a hand, it's going to show like where your team died and what they died by, whether it was super, weapon, or what. It's kind of a nice way to know if somebody died by a super. Don't go that direction. I do actually appreciate that a little bit. They're going to have assists back on the screen. They're going to update some mercy rules. I am kind of okay if they ever get that closer to right, but we will see what that means. Comp, that is something I have no horse in that race, so I don't have a whole lot to say there. Lobby balancing, that is a detailed thing. And then you get into the sandbox, they've got like primary weapons of like what gets used. Primary weapon, since 8.05, all skills and high skill. So that's all skills, high skill, and then high skill detailed. So for all skill levels, your weapon usage, kills over expected, basically, the percentage kills. Hand cannons, auto rifles, pulse rifles, they're way out to the right. Scout rifles, submachine guns, sidearms, they're on the expected line, but they're lower. Combat bows are struggling. Grenade launchers are awful, and fusion rifles are high. Sounds about right. All skill levels is that one. If you go high skill levels, you've got hand cannons pushing much higher. Pulse rifles and auto rifles are doing okay. Scout subs and sidearms are actually lower. Combat grenade launchers still way to the left. So, thank you, Scream. Appreciate that. Basically, at high skill levels, it is all about the hand cannon. Hit your shots, make them count. Kiss it with the Prime. Thank you very much for the Prime sub. And Medivh, hello, welcome to the stream. And then high skill levels, they get into specifics. Like Rose is the highest one. Then you got Elsie's rifle, Kvostov, which is so weird, but I guess for an auto rifle. Ace of Spades, then you got like Hawk Moon, Red Death, Summoner, Igneous Hammer, Riposte. I can kind of see some of that in there, but yeah. They're going to be doing some nerfs. They're going to be doing some buffs. I'm not going to go into all the minutiae and details. Special and heavy weapons, Tracer Rifle base PvP ammo is up by 4 bullets. Woohoo. Sniper rifles, camera roll flinch reduced by 10% against players. Apparently the heavy weapon Hammerhead is just beast mode. Like, adaptive machine gun with 4 times and killing tally. Apparently it's just too damn strong. It's probably the fact that 4 times will maybe give you some bullets back in PvP that's strong. Killing tally, if you get a kill, you're going to kill faster. And then if you get it up to ×3 and you're able to hold on to the same ammo, that's going to be really strong. Kiss it, as a solo player, really enjoy my YouTube videos. They're a huge help. You are welcome. What's up, Ronan? How you doing? He's working on... Yeah, you guys called some funny ones out on Twitter. No, he's out there just busy working on some stuff. He might even be traveling, I think, but I just know he's busy this week. Kvostov is broken in PvP. That's fair. I knew it was at a point. Oh, I know. I saw the tweets out there. I saw something. I saw the specific one where you guys called him out. Kind of made me laugh. Where were we? Going through PvP. So high impact machine guns increase critical damage. Heavy ammo grenade launchers. Trials of Osiris. We've identified several issues with Trials that are contributing to its current state. Really? This ought to be interesting. I'm not like a Trials guy, but I'm like, I'm so curious what they identify. Hold on. Episode 2 goes live in about a week and a half, October 8th. Alright, so, Trials of Osiris. Over the next 2 episodes, they'll be working towards addressing them. Revenant will feature a smaller push towards them, and Heresy will have a significant rebuild of Trials. So in Revenant, we want to address the first handful of issues by improving map rotations, make sure weapon rewards are strong and meta-relevant, and improving the game's sandbox at a high intensity level. In the future, we have an additional handful of issues we'd like to address by adding new aesthetic rewards to allow players to show off both determination and skill, further improving the trio experience so players are motivated to play with friends, and our overall goal is to make Trials more fun and more rewarding for all different types of players. Well, your 3s, you should either do solos or trios. 2-mans, I'm sorry, but there's not a place for you in Trials. Random matches of Trials, you are just rolling the dice. If you're going in with 3s, there's 3s. There's no advantage. That's how I think it should be, in my opinion. I don't play Trials that much, but that seems like something that should be tried. Solos, no duos. Because duos are going to match against solos, most likely not against 3s, and yeah, that whole thing. So, Trials changes for Revenant. Oh, they're going with specific maps and weapon rotations and perks. For Revenant, we'll be introducing a newly buffed, strongly statted, heavy burst hand cannon to the loot pool, yesterday's question, alongside a revision of rocket launcher, tomorrow's answer. See, this is why everybody wants Destiny 3. This is the motion right here. You get one new arc heavy burst heavy weapon. You're like, all right, it's kind of cool. They have a couple of redacted perks on there, by the way, so I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. But you get a tomorrow's answer. It's a void rocket launcher. We've had it before. We're getting it back. It's just something we've seen before. Solos are getting lost forgiveness when going against the 3 team. I was thinking it was last Tuesday. It was like, yeah, no wonder. No, it's not here yet. So it's just that kind of thing. It's like, okay, so you get one old weapon and then you get one new weapon. Yeah, you get some updated perks, bait and switch. Cool. That's going to be a PvE type perk. Envious Assassin, tracking module, bipod, chain reaction, cluster bombs. Like, half of these are going to be PvP. Half of these are going to be PvE. It's just kind of how some of this is going to go. But it is a rocket launcher we have had before. If you have a good roll on it and you're not crafting a Trials weapon, unless you live in Trials, your odds of getting the Trials weapon that you want, probably pretty small. Exactly. If you have a good tomorrow's answer, odds are that you're going to get one better than a good one you might have already got. Probably really low. A lot of time investment if you did, maybe. So is it worth it? No. So right there, you're like, oh, let's have the loot be more relevant, but you're giving me something I've already got. And also, do I have a void rocket launcher from something in the game that might be able to handle what we're looking at anyway? Probably. Future Trials sneak peek. And then beyond, so sandbox changes, playlist reorg, Iron Banner, skill and rank changes. So wait, okay, with update something, these options can now help players better communicate their goals to potential Fireteam members. For example, Epilogue runs on expert difficulty can now be make use of a speedrun category to help players looking to obtain specific Triumph emblem. Here's a list of the categories. Let's do secrets, exotic catalyst, looking for collectibles, mining nodes, encore expert only. All of the above, speedrun. I just need to run through it and beat it. So, I mean, if they're working for Fireteam Finder category, I'm glad Fireteam Finder exists. I really am. If they keep putting more features in there, more ways that you can signify what you're working on, all that stuff, no problems with that. Fireteam Finder is actually a great addition. I've heard a lot of people have a good experience with that. Movie of the week is like a 10-year journey. Not entirely sure what it is. Destiny 2 Forsaken just goes through kind of everything. I don't know if they made it or somebody else made it. Yeah, somebody with 66 subscribers. So go give that video some love. They put some time into it. It got movie of the week. Nice to check that one out. And that is kind of where I'm at for the Destiny type stuff. So we are about a minute or an hour and 14 into this thing. That's kind of where we're at for Destiny. So for other stuff going on for me, I've got Starfield Shattered Space. That is going to be on Monday. I will be working on something for that. So come hang out. I might be streaming. I might not. Depends on what it looks like. But if I'm sitting there playing through Starfield and working on a piece of content, I'm not sure if streaming is the best, but we'll have to play that one by ear. That's Monday. Then we've got Diablo 4 coming up. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to work on anything for that pre-release. If not, that is the same day as Revenant, which is definitely a problem. And honestly, that will be an interesting test to see how the player base is doing when it comes to Destiny 2. What does a new actual episode do at this point? Because this is the episode where you will have to have gone out of your way to either get the year of Destiny. Like if you just bought Final Shape, you're not guaranteed this. Yeah, Destiny 2 sits down about number 47. Sits about in the 40s, sits about in 25k for concurrent players. That's where I see it on Steam almost every day. About when I check, it's somewhere in the mid 20s. That's it. It is not that many. So the biggest question is Diablo 4 coverage, which I haven't really been covering that much. And again, I'm kind of going to be crunched for time to try and figure this out. But on the other side, I've only heard good things as the seasons have gone forward. and we will just have to play it by ear. But I kind of want to try and cover both, so we will see what's going on with both Diablo 4. Any interest in Throne and Liberty? I don't know if I got time for like an MMO like that, to be honest with you. I keep hearing mixed things about that. I'm not entirely sure it's going to pull me in. If I was going to go MMO, I probably would just go back to WoW. I played the War Within for like 8 hours. And if I was going to put something into a game, I'd like to do it in a game that I feel like there's actually going to be a future for. It's like, for me, something like Throne and Liberty. Yeah, it's like 2 months ago. I mean, it's straight up going to be like an action MMO. I'm sure it's cool to a point. Yeah, I just don't know. That's a tough one. So, for me, kind of hard to go down that road. No, it's just like, I'm looking out at February right now, and I'm just real sad. Hold on. It got really bright on my screen, but there's a reason I'm looking at a spreadsheet. So, October 8th. Sorry. So Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom came out today. Starfield Shattered Space comes out on Monday the 30th. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Destiny Episode 2 Revenant Act 1. All of Act 1, by the way. Remember, it's everything in Act 1. Not the whole season, but Act 1. And Silent Hill 2 all come out on October 8th. Obviously, Silent Hill 2 I'm not getting to right now. Would I like to play it? Yeah, not going to get to it soon. First Berserker Kazan is an action game I really want to play. Closed beta test starts on October 10th. I have no idea if I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to try. Metaphor ReFantazio. Next thing from Atlas and all the Persona people. Here it's huge. Could be really fantastic. Not something I'm really known for, but could be really cool. Then you got Call of Duty Black Ops and Dragon Age to wrap up the end of October. I am actually looking at Dragon Age, trying to see if I can maybe play that, get into that, cover it, because it actually looks pretty cool. Something I might want to play if October is looking late in October, which it probably is. That's definitely something to consider. And then Path of Exile 2. Early access November 15th. That is actually potentially going to be huge. So if you pay to get in early access for Path of Exile 2, that has a chance to compete with Diablo. It does. It looks really cool, and I'll be kind of curious what they do, but that's when I want to jump in as well. December, you got Marvel Rivals, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and then some stuff for that. But in 2025, January is a little late, and we'll have to see what the schedule for Revenant looks like. So if it's 6 weeks, let me do my math here. So 6 weeks from October, so weeks from date. All right, so if you start on October 8th and then you go at 8, what is it, 6 weeks? So it'd be November 19th. That would be Act 2. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that one is going to be November 19th. Act 2. So November 19th is going to be Act 2, kind of right there in the middle of October or November, which that's fun. And then if you go November 19th, you add another 6 weeks from that, you get to December 31st. Wow. Would they really do that? I feel like that's not going to be perfect timing. So here's the question for all of you. December 31st, Act 3, do you think they would do that? It feels like a time you don't launch something. So here's an interesting question. Do you launch Act 3 of Revenant on December 31st? Do you stick with the 6 week cadence, or do you stretch it out a little bit? Because man, does that seem sketchy. So you go 19th, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 31st. I would guess you might push that thing to the 7th of January. Maybe just push it a week. Because if you do the 31st and you add 6 more weeks, that means Act 3 starts on February 11th. Or no, that's episode 3. Wait, February 11th or February 8th? Sorry, I'm looking at a calendar now. February 11th. Oh, it's even worse. So if you do the 31st, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's where it starts to be a problem. Okay, so Wedding Poppy, they're doing the complete Act 1 all at once. Then Act 2 all at once. Act 3 all at once. It is not Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 all launching on October 8th. They're not doing that. They are doing Act still, but they're doing it like Act. You're not going to have 3 weeks of Act 3. On October 8th, you're going to get to play through all of Act 1. So that is going to be a thing. Yeah, because they even mentioned Revenant Act 1. So yeah, they're breaking it up. And that's probably an important thing to clarify. Now, it would be nice to have new content January 1st because folks are off, but seems unlikely to drop on a holiday. That's kind of my issue. Okay, so this actually becomes a bit of a problem. The more they stretch this season, depending on how much they stretch it, but the more they stretch it, the closer episode 3 gets to Monster Hunter Wilds. Change the GM schedule. Man, I wish they would just open that up for you guys. If you're a GM person, you should be able to run more than just like one of those. Like, why limit people? I don't know. So that's going to be February 11th. If it holds at 18 weeks. If it goes to 19 weeks, you're at February 18th. And if it goes to 20 weeks, like if they stretch it out, then you're going to get out to the 25th. And Monster Hunter Wilds comes out on the 28th. So if it's on the 18th, it's the same day as Avowed. If it's on the 25th, it's 3 days before Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm going full send on it. I will tell all of you now. If Heresy is on the 11th, I can probably get some coverage in for Act 1. But Monster Hunter Wilds, I am going big on that one because I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's one that they'll support and put a lot into. And honestly, I'm just going to have a lot more fun playing Monster Hunter Wilds than I probably am the new episode. Just how I think it's going to go. So what do you guys think with regards to timing? Do you think Act 3, Path 2, I'm there. I think there will be delays in February for some games. Man, I hope so. I mean, Monster Hunter Wilds call on February 28th. It's far enough out, and they probably feel pretty comfortable. And I think February 28th, you do it because you want all of March for sales to be able to get into maybe Q1, or maybe it's like Q4 for their fiscal year. But that gives you a full month of sales, but still far enough away from January that you give it a little space. Oh, Assassin's Creed delayed is going to get massive. Assassin's Creed is going to have problems, unfortunately. They will stretch it with Halloween and Dawning events. But that's the thing. They just did the events like that in the other 3 weeks of the season. So I just don't know what they're going to do. The timing of this season could suck, or it could be okay. That's probably my biggest fear. So, I mean, whether you got a PS5 Pro and you want to play Monster Hunter Wilds or any other thing or whatever is going on, there's a lot of games I'm watching for. Monster Hunter Wilds is my biggest one that's upcoming. And for me, the more Destiny Episode 3 gets closer to that, the more in trouble I am. Any idea for the date of the GTA launch? I still expect that thing to get pushed to 2026. I would not be surprised at all. I mean, to see something like Assassin's Creed get pushed. I'm trying to think how much it was pushed, like, because it was supposed to be November. Yeah, so now February 18th, 14th, I think. Yeah, to see Assassin's Creed get pushed, like, nothing is safe. And honestly, for GTA, they have no reason. So, it's always delayed, sometimes twice. Marathon? Okay, so, let's see. If you've got... So, summer 2025, winter 2025. We're going to be doing stuff. Summer update, if you go for timing of weeks... Okay, so if things hold, we'll see. February 11th would hold. So then if you go February 11th, and then you go add 6 weeks, so March 25th would be Act 2. Be what, 325. I just want to, and this is where I think they can build, like when you get to Heresy, this is where I think they might release acts, but they're not going to be in a rush to like put a specific date to match any of that type of stuff when it comes to May 6th. So Act 3 being May 6th, maybe. Again, ballparking all of this. 5, 6, and then if you go say 6 more weeks from May, you get out to June 17th. Does that sound like a Destiny release? Probably. Is in the middle of E3 again? Probably, and I'm gonna shoot him for it, but you know. Destiny 2, codename Apollo. June 17th. Actually, that would be a little past it, but it would be busy. So you don't think we see... Yeah, if they're smart, if Marathon does come together as being something that people want to play, if it starts to preview well, if betas get out there, if whatever testing happens, if it's going to come out, it does feel like it would be a holiday release to give them to give PlayStation something next year. I feel like if you did maybe a September release for Marathon, if you've got Wolverine in there, you've got Santa Monica working on something, Sony Bend is working on something. We know Sucker Punch is now doing Ghost of Yote? Probably going to say that wrong forever. Yeah, so I mean, there's just a lot of games coming next year. Ghost of Yote, All Is Us is 2025, the first Berserker Kazan. There's a lot of things that I'm watching. You got Dune Awakening. That's another one for early 2025. It's got some potential. Hyper Light Breaker early access in early 2025. I'm trying to keep track of a lot of games, so I'm trying to keep everything straight, but I'm also trying to figure out where like I can find my own time to play it. So it's kind of tough, but yeah, I think I've probably rambled on long enough. This is about an hour and a half, so decent podcast. Yeah, Destiny has a lot of stuff in the fire, a lot of irons in the fire. I'm curious to see where it all lands, because I think there's potential in some of this. We know the new dungeon getting to normal quickly allows me to like work on a guide, which is helpful. Try a contest and then work on a guide. So the dungeon will be cool. We get all of Act 1 on October 8th. We get Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred on October 8th as well. Same damn day. And then Starfield Shattered Space. You guys can find me doing stuff on that on Monday. So come hang out if I am live. If not, it's because I'm working on stuff offline and I just thought that was a better way to do it. But it is out for everybody then. Yeah, nice to chat with you guys. Hopefully you guys are okay with these solo style streams, because I do kind of like keeping the podcast on a consistent cadence so it's not too far between releases. But I also don't want to just fill your ears with nothing. But I enjoy talking to you guys, chatting. And this kind of worked with a double. So I don't know how many people were watching live today. We got up to like 50. I think we peaked at like 60. So if you guys are enjoying the live stream, dropping likes on there helps. If you're watching on Twitch and you haven't yet, please drop that follow. Subs, likes, subscribes, and all that fun really always helps. I appreciate every one of them. Thank you all very much. But yeah, lots to look forward to. Very busy early October. And then thank you all very much. Hopefully you guys, if you have thoughts, opinions about anything I said, go find the comment section of Spotify or a YouTube video. This will also be on the Last Word Podcast YouTube channel specifically. I tend to hide these on my Ebontis channel, but the podcast video is always up on the other channel. You just have to specifically go look for like last word 309 if you're looking for it. Do it by number, but it's out there. It's just the algorithm does not really like it. So thank you all very much. Hopefully I have the guys back here next week. Chat, you guys have been awesome. Thank you very much. And depending on what I'm doing this evening, I may be working on Black Myth Wukong, so I may stream again on Twitch for that. But either way, thank you all. Have a good one. And for this episode, it has been The Last Word.